All right, looks like we're live. Welcome everyone to the 7th Tezos Town Hall. I'm Cryptonio, Community Manager at Tezos Commons, and I'll be your moderator today. As always, these town halls are all about keeping you, the community, informed and involved in the ongoing evolution of Tezos. Governance, upgrades, and the future, that's what we are here to talk about today. Before we kick off, let's do a quick redux of everything that's happened since we last gathered for a town hall. On January 20th, the community officially passed the Quebec proposal, marking the 17th Tezos protocol upgrade. Quebec has now been successfully activated, bringing several important changes to the chain. And today we'll break those down for you. But governance wasn't the only thing happening in Tezos lately. The Tezos ecosystem has been out and about. We showed up strong at events like the Digital Assets Forum in London with Arthur's panel talk around the tokenization of real world assets. We showed up at NFT and Real World Assets Paris event, and of course, more recently at the ETH Denver event, where we had the amazing Tezos Breakfast Club and many more presentations as well. So if you were at any of this, you might have walked away with some great Tezos swag, and hopefully you had a chance to meet fellow community members and builders in person. I don't know, were you there? Let us know in the chat. But today, our main focus is Quebec, but we'll also zoom out to understand how it fits into the bigger Tezos X roadmap, and we'll take a sneak peek at Rio, the 18th proposal, which is already in the works. This is a perfect chance to see how governance isn't just a process, it's what keeps Tezos evolving, adapting, and staying future-proof, always ahead of the curve. Joining me today to walk us through all this, we have Yann Regis-Gianas, who is the head engineering at Nomadic Labs. Welcome, Yann.
Hello, nice to be here again.
Nice to have you. We also have Zaynah Dargaye, core layer 1 engineering manager at Nomadic Labs. Welcome, Zaynah.
Hi.
Great. And last but not least, we have Vincent Poulain, tech user relations manager at Nomadic Labs. How are you doing, Vincent?
Good. Hi. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Okay, let's dive in. So, to set the scene, before we dive into Quebec itself, let's remind everyone why governance is so central to Tezos and what's happened recently on the upgrade front. Let's start with governance itself. Vincent, could you give us a quick high-level recap on how Tezos governance works?
Yeah, sure. Well, Tezos governance is on-chain. And this is very, very, very important for Tezos. This means that backers vote for proposals submitted by other backers on-chain. Anybody can write a proposal. You can write yours. A proposal is actually code that works and that is going to become the next version of the proposal if voted up by backers. And this governance is divided in periods. The first one is the proposal period, during which one or several proposals are submitted, and backers can not promote, but can support those they wish, up to 20 actually. And the best of these, if reaching the quorum, which is 5%, will be promoted to the expiration period, which is the current case, but the current situation, but we are going to see that later. And this expiration period is actually a ballot, during which backers can vote yea, nay, pass, or abstain. Should it pass, there is a cooldown for the proposal to be further tested. I remind here that the proposal is actually tested code that works, so it's further tested. It's deployed on a ghostnet, on a test network, to check whether it's doing what it should. And there is then a second ballot, just to be sure, which is the adoption one, the promotion one, sorry, during which backers vote again, yea, pass, nay, or abstain. At the end of this, there is two possible outcomes. The proposal passes, and it's going to be the next version of the protocol. We could say that this is the protocol elect. There is few weeks cool down period during which bakers can deploy the necessary software to have it running properly, etc., etc. And at some point, new cycle.
And I
block
suppose
one,
also for
it
the
activates.
ecosystem to prepare, right? This cooldown period at the end
Absolutely.
is also for the ecosystem to prepare for the projects and everybody. Great.
Yes,
great.
because validators, bakers have software to deploy, but also tool providers or developers have some adaptations to do. Well, usually they do that beforehand once the proposal is being explored. However, there are always adjustments to do, so it's better to have some cooldown time to get ready. And this is how it works, roughly.
This is great, and it makes sense. You nailed it with explanation. So now that we have that context, Yann, can you walk us through the two most recent protocol upgrades? We had Paris, we had Quebec. Could you like walk us through that? Maybe you're muted.
And
Yann?
you're
There we go.
Sure. I didn't want to interfere with Vincent talking.
Vincent.
Let's start again. I was saying that even though it's the 17th protocol that is activated, every protocol has a unique story, and it's you could say after 17th you could be bored, like, oh yeah, yet another protocol. No, that's not what is happening. Each of them is actually super unique, and we learn different things, and there is a story each time. So for Paris, Paris is I would say a very large protocol. It has been activated last year, mid-year in June, and actually it was such a huge set of very major changes to the Tezos protocol. One is the 10-second block time, the fact that we continued what we started by reducing continuously, incrementally the block time at each evolution of Tezos. And it's actually something that we are super proud of, especially with Zaynah, because we have been able in the core dev to set up something that is a bit counterintuitive. Normally, when you ask engineers to do something that is a bit ambitious, like reducing the block time of a distributed system like a blockchain, they will tell us, go slowly. It can be unsafe. Take it easy. We won't go as far as you want. People, managers that don't understand anything about technical stuff, as far as you want, because you are dreaming. And it's actually the other way around that happened, because they followed a very recourse strategy that Zaynah will probably explain a bit later. But actually, that gives them so much confidence that when we came to Zaynah saying, maybe we should reduce to 13.5 seconds, we are not super confident, we don't know. They tell us, no, we want 10. We want 10. We believe it's actually feasible, and we want it. And next time it will be 8, and next time it will be, we'll see. Why they are confident? Because they have very good methodology. So there is a very good blog post on this topic. I think you should read it. We'll share the link in a few seconds. So 10-second block time is actually very symbolic for us, because it's this time where engineers are actually pushing us to reduce the block time, and it's quite unusual. In Paris, another big piece has been the activation of the DAR. So the DAR is about boosting smart rollups, increasing the bandwidth. We'll come back on this, I suppose, during this discussion. So it's a whole topic. And we also add something that has been a very critical and core change in the protocol, what we call adaptive issuance, completely dramatic change, I would say, in the economy of Tezos. So introducing a regulator, a way to actually generate issuance in a more efficient way for the protocol. And after that, we had Quebec. So Quebec is, I would say, just an extension of this. It's continuing the reduction of block time to 8 seconds, and also refining adaptive issuance in ways that we'll discuss a bit later.
Okay, these are all great. And yeah, since you touched on the Quebec, let's get deep. Let's go deeper into Quebec itself, which is also our main topic today. So, could you walk us through this in detail? What exactly is Quebec, and what are the key improvements and changes that it introduced?
So, what is interesting with Quebec is the fact that it's really a refinement in some sense of this key feature, adaptive issuance. And surprisingly, in some sense, it has been very difficult to explain these refinements that are quite sophisticated and evolved, because in some sense, in Paris, we convinced the community that some model, some ways to implement adaptive issuance was actually meaningful. But we told them, oh, actually, we can do even better. We can do even better. And the first reaction was, well, let's first start to understand the previous one. And so we had to convince them that, no, of course, yes, we could take more time, but there is no, from our perspective, a good reason to wait, because we have found something that is actually a very neat improvement called adaptive maximum. It's a way to say, oh, adaptive issuance is a regulator. It's a way to make sure that we increase the security budget of the chain, so the staked ratio, to target a model where we have one circulating token in front of one token at stake. Okay, and in order to get there, you have to regulate. You have to incentivize, but do it in a regulated way so that you don't make the issuance explode. And the idea is it's just like when you have a very cold room and you want to heat it. What you do is when it's super cold, what you do is to put the
turn the heater full on.
Heater full, like
Yeah.
Let's get temperature significantly better. And at some point you say, okay, but let me think. It's actually energy is quite expensive these days, so maybe I should control a bit what I'm asking in terms of power. And so close to the target temperatures that you want, you just reduce the temperature, okay, in order to calm down a bit the system. And just because if you continue like this, you will go, you will go super fast, and you will go to 50 degrees maybe.
Right,
So
and
you want
it's less efficient
to calm down the system when you're close to the target. And that's exactly what adaptive issuance adaptive maximum is about. It's about calming down the system where we are close to the target, because there is no reason to consume more issuance, because that's a resource that we want to be to use. I would say in a rational way, as low as possible, in order to get to our target. So that's exactly the point. And it took some time to explain that actually it was an extension, but in our opinion, a very good one. So that's why we push for it.
It was a refinement, a needed refinement, a good refinement.
A needed refinement, exactly.
Yeah.
So that was, I would say, the change on the regulator level aspect. So it's really about how the system reacts to the inputs of the ecosystems that are mostly how much at stake, and what is the distribution between liquid delegation and staking. And so the system is changed, but we also decided in Quebec to change what you can put inside. So typically, in our first version, we have been very conservative about the external stake that Baker could accept. And actually, we did some more investigation, and we realized that it was okay to move it to 9x and so it was more possibilities open for bakers to accept more stake, external stake. So we did it. This one I think has been very well
I think
accepted, especially by people that want to stake, of course. And another aspect is the fact that we want to incentivize people to stake. So, and by I would say mechanically, it means that the liquid delegation should also decrease, of course. So we wanted to to put a bit more rewards to people that stake, and that's why we changed the ratio. Inside
there's
the reward.
there's much more incentive now for someone to stake instead of simply
Clearly,
delegating and keep it liquid,
if
right? Yeah, and
if
that
you are
will
not
help
staking,
also.
you are losing a lot of
Absolutely.
opportunities, I think, and that's why you should go to this. And it's super easy to stake. It's not a problem.
Three clicks.
Three
Yeah,
clicks.
you can.
It's
That's what I
just
say
an
always.
action that you need to do. That's it. So
Yeah,
wake up,
and you
do it.
you don't even have to stake your whole wallet. We should mention that you can stake a part of your wallet. Like if you have, let's say, randomly 1,000 XTZ, you could stake the 500 of them. The rest can stay liquid. So it's a really well thought out mechanism. I loved it when you introduced it. So yeah, I'm all for it.
And yes, going
Back to Quebec.
a bit more in Quebec, and so it's a bit more technical, this part, but it can resonate to bakers that really care about that kind of aspect. So you know that it's not part of the protocol, but when as a baker you have delegators, the liquid delegation, it is considered to be polite to actually share your rewards with these people. You can do whatever you want. It's not part of the protocol. While for staking, it's part of the protocol. So it's in some sense
The
also a
distribution
good
of
reason
rewards.
to
We are talking
distribution of
about.
rewards. Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
So it's easier in some sense with staking, but for liquid, people have external tools to compute off chain and just do the transfers by themselves. But actually, these tools they depend on when you want to compute exactly what you want to distribute to each of them. You need to know exactly the backing rights, and the first implementation of adaptive issuance has some added more complexity, I would say, in the way it was computed, and tooling were tooling people were a bit struggling updating their tool. So what we did is to just simplify the specification and move to a definition that allows typically to compute backing rights at the end of the block. So it's a bit technical, so we won't enter into details. But the idea is that we have pushed in Quebec simplest way to compute the backing rights, and now I think it.
And this is basically to help these third-party tools, let's say, that calculate the rewards for delegation to make it easier for them and for the bakers that use them to be able to calculate the rewards.
It's a UX improvement, but
great.
We are more and more focusing on UX. We know in the blockchain industry it has not been a priority for a long time, and at Tezos on the Tezos protocol, we really want to make life as easy as possible, less pain points as possible when using Tezos at every level, as a baker, as a staker, as an end user, as a builder. The life should be just joy.
Yeah.
For them.
Simple as possible.
Yeah, simple as possible indeed. So that's it on Quebec adaptive issuance. But yeah, there is also the reduction of block time. Maybe
anything about
yes.
No, I think that were the main features as far as I remember as well.
Yes.
So I don't know if there were anything about prevention of unintended baking right laws and stuff like that. But I think the main features
yes,
were those.
it's included in the this computation of baking,
Gotcha.
right?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for this detailed explanation of the features of Quebec. So one recurring technical theme across the last few upgrades, as you mentioned, has been the reduction of block times. We saw this with Paris, and it continued with Quebec down to 8 seconds. Zaynah, I'm coming to you. Can you explain why was reducing block times so important?
So reduction of block time is important because it is UX. What we want for, let's say, just layer one, consider just layer one. At transfer level, we want something like electronical payment UX. We are not yet there for sure, and there are now other layers that assume that. And speaking of other layers, you also want publication of L2 operations to have a great finality on layer one. It will allow, if I understand well, good latency between bridges, for bridges between several layer two or with another machines.
Mm-hmm.
So that said, we don't want to just reduce block time like that. We want to preserve something very important, and we make a blockchain an accessible decentralization. So what is that accessible decentralization, and what is so important for us at Tezos is because it means a broad. It means every baker has very low requirement in order to participate. In particular, for block time, for staking, for example, is the amount, the minimum amount of staking. That it is very important, and the fact that we allow new stakers with adaptive issuance on-chain staker directly, because then the cost is shared with others. For block time reductions, it is more about the hardware requirement, which are very low on Tezos. And once you have this broad participation of Baker, you have properties that you expect from a blockchain, which is security, network security, resilience, because you have several copies of the same things, and finally, censorship requirement. Resistance.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. So that's why it's important.
Yeah, that makes total sense because, I mean, that's what blockchains were made for, right? I mean, censorship resistance, decentralization, and the resilience are the main things that you want out of a blockchain. And I must say that I don't know how you do it, but you keep reducing the block times and you keep the hardware requirements low, keeping it accessible. It's amazing. It's amazing. I don't know how you do it. Like running a node with a Raspberry Pi is, still for now, it's great. It's amazing. Okay, so Quebec has been live for a little while now. So let's talk early feedback. Vincent, any observations or metrics on how the Tezos network has been performing since the upgrade?
Yeah, well, observation first. Not bad at all. Activation was pretty smooth actually, and you don't reduce. Well, when a protocol activates and when it's question of reducing the block time, I can tell you that engineers are in front of their screen, like command console at the NASA launch. It went well. Activation took something like 18 seconds the time for 2 blocks to pass, and for us to be sure that that it was actually doing okay. And well, since then we can see several things. Many bakers extended their external stake limit from 5 to 9 times, which is cool. We also see that this is not directly tied to the protocol, but to the regular software upgrades that we do, that we have less and less missed attestations, because there was a kind of defect with the former versions of the software, which were making the very first block to be very difficult to handle by the baking software, and often you had missed attestation. This no longer happens, so that's great. It doesn't mean that everything is perfect in a perfect world. There were issues. I remember one, for example, a baker, very well known in the community, and who made it public. So I won't say his name because I didn't ask first. But well, by digging into the Twitter history, you can find it. And he had an issue. He said, "Well, I'm going to stop baking." We were like, "What?" Yeah, because of the latency, because I can't sign fast enough for my blocks to proposal to be validated. So we're like, no way. And to us, it's clearly perceived that as a disaster. We want and we need more bakers, not less. And especially when you have, bakers from the community, very involved, doing great, doing a lot for for Tezos and for the bakers and builders and users. You don't want this to happen, of course. So we reached out, we had a discussion, I bugged Zaynah and her team for everybody to try to find a solution. And at the end, this is happy end because this person keeps baking and is doing very well. I won't disclose anything about the solution because it didn't make it public. So for his setup security, I don't have to disclose anything. But of course, you have issues like that. When it happens, you're not happy. When it's resolved, this is something you can later in your life tell your grandson, saying, "Oh, I've lived that earlier."
Story to share.
Yeah. Nice story to share. And in terms of precise metrics, so less and less missed attestations and blocks, which is cool. And of course, and this is the most important metric, a faster block time.
Yeah. You can go on the Explorer and see it, right? The blocks are coming like every 8 seconds they are there. That's great.
Absolutely. There is one metric I'm keeping an eye on, which is the stacking ratio, and I hope this will increase. It takes time. It's normal that it takes time. I've seen earlier on that screen a very interesting URL displayed to invite people to stack. Stack your Tez. As Yann said, it's way better than delegating.
Yeah, it was a stake.tezos.com, and I have to also mention that I think after Quebec, we kind of reached an all-time high in staking ratio. Like that's the 21% or something, which was a good sign. Yeah, it was a good sign, but we need more. Go stake, people, right? So quick parenthesis, because you were discussing, about the moment of the activation. And this is to all of you. Like, do you all stake awake during the activation, regardless of what time it is, even if it is 5 a.m. and you are all stressed out to see how it goes? Yeah, I can only imagine.
I can easily answer this one because before being with Nomadic, I'm a baker in my private life. And even though this was not my job, I was in front of my screen to be sure my bakery was running well.
But I also have to say, that from a user perspective, like me, you make most of these upgrades look boring. There's no surprises, nothing, and that's a good thing. They are smooth. So yeah. From your ongoing conversations with bakers, developers, and the community, what's the sentiment so far, Vincent?
Well, I think the sentiment is all right. I mean, you have an upgrade that works well, that brings a lot of value. So the sentiment is fine, especially knowing that this upgrade didn't do bad to any builder or to any user. It just improves the chain. So
allowed them to accept more staking as well, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. Okay, that's great. So I also know that upgrades like Quebec or Paris before, they don't happen overnight. They require a lot of work behind the scenes. So Zaynah, from the engineering side, the teamwork side, can you give us like an inside look at what did it take to make this happen?
I think it will not be enough to. I cannot catch it all in few minutes, but I will try.
Makes sense.
It's a lot of work, and it's also thinking in way before for each. There is a logic behind each proposal. We really do things incrementally as much as possible. Simple example, yes, after Paris introducing new staking and adaptive issuance, it do it, in fact, in three proposals: Oxford 2, Paris, and then Quebec. So in Oxford 2, we have features to install a little bit the staking mechanism without asking explicitly to stake. So we have something like auto staking in place that has to disappear when you works on Paris, when on the code of Paris. Similarly, in the beginning of Paris, remember, adaptive issuance took some cycles before activating.
Right.
And then you have the progress in min-mask things to allow bakers to adapt and adopt the staking mechanism, get some knowledge of how the number, or they can play with it. And that's part of code that has also to disappear once you are in Quebec. Also, at Paris, this new staking thing was a result of all the proof of stake mechanisms. So yeah, the code has to have some kind of internal audit to make sure we have a good quality of code. Also that it's now more maintainable. We pursue test because this is the way we are. We like to be sure about things, finding other pieces of improvement. That was a big part. That's for adaptive insurance and staking. Very similarly, we have this rigorous way to reduce block time, which is something like analyzing, finding the bottleneck, make sure we have an optimization thanks to our expertise. And most of this place of optimization is due to change of invariants, because we have a big change of consensus once upon a time. We used to have EMI, now we have Tenderback, and we still have places to improve. And each time with a lot of profiling, testing, analyzing, etc. But at Paris activations, we also we have in our simulation, let's say, as much as possible, a realistic network, but not a real network. We do it incrementally, that each time we are sure that the network, when it's on mainnet, can support the change. And after Paris, we see some issues that we tackle also, not directly in the proposal, but in Octets, to know to maintain better, to do better maintenance of the storage, for example. So that's why, since Quebec, we don't have a high round, for example, at the start of a cycle now. That's the kind of things we do. We do it. You implement the feature. You learn how to maintain your network, your node, your protocol. You also have to make sure that the process by itself of its migration is consistent, and we have to prepare that nothing is failing. So we have phases dedicated the stabilization to test, actually, that everything will be all right with quality assurance testing, with migration testing, also,
Mhm.
that it is consistent with Octets, that we have a smooth integration with Octets. So Node, for the moment, there is only one, which is Octets. And yeah, that almost that.
So from what I understand is that there is a huge amount of testing, auditing, simulations, and trying to find anything that could go wrong. So,
Yes.
and it also makes sense that since, I mentioned before that we get many upgrades so smoothly, it makes sense that there is so much testing behind it. Yann, yeah, you want to add
Yeah.
something?
Actually, there is a
I can
secret that maybe
translate.
Zaynah is not sharing. Is that what they do during simulation testing is actually to put the software
Yes.
at a very at a level of stress that is far higher than the mainnet, so that
Mhm.
when the protocol code enters mainnet, it's like, oh, that's so easy. Let's activate. You know
Yeah.
that.
And
Under promise,
just
over
want to,
deliver.
I just wanted to
Yeah,
add
go ahead.
something about, you say it's boring. Activation is never boring for us
For
because,
you, for you.
oh yeah, we are so prepared for that.
I
We are
know, I
so
know.
prepared, and it's hard, we are prepared in case of any
Yeah.
issue, because it is still and will always be a deployment over a network that we don't have the hand over there. It's dependent on bakers, and they have the final word to make it happen. We are
Yeah.
just here in case something go wrong because of us, something go wrong because the synchronization is not good. So we are also trying to improve that it's easier to deploy upgrades.
Yeah, that gives me great pass for my next question. But first, I want to mention that maybe I shouldn't use the word boring. I should use
No,
the
no,
word
no. We like
smooth.
it.
Smooth. No, it was smoothly. They are smooth. But yeah, at the same time, from what I understand, keeping the community involved during the upgrade process is crucial, right?
Yes.
So, Vincent,
Yeah.
from your tech relations role, how do you make sure that bakers, developers, and community members stay informed and prepared? And maybe what's the feedback loop between Nomadic Labs and the core teams and the ecosystem before and after the upgrades?
Yeah. Well, we have several ways to do that, actually. The feedback loop being one of them, the most structured way we have to be sure is that everybody in the community is ready. Well, the first thing we do is that we are present. We are present on the Discord, on Twitter. Well, I should say X now, on Telegram as well. Well, we try to be everywhere, and we listen, we answer questions, etc. This is something very general, not specifically tied to upgrades, but at any point of time, would like the community to know that we are here and ready to answer. Now, when it's time to propose something, when it's time to have this thing, namely a protocol, activate because it has been voted up, we have a process, a defined process, which is called the feedback loop. The feedback loop, the first step of the feedback loop takes place before we even propose that our protocol upgrade. It's usually a month or so before. So we know what, at that stage, we know what we are willing to propose because I tells us simply we're going to propose this, and she's the chief, so we believe her. And no, seriously, so we have a set of features that are going to be included in a proposal, and we make this public. We make this public on the Tezos Agora, saying, okay, this is the feature proposal we are in the process of writing. It's going at that stage to consist of this, and that changes. What do you think? And this is a clear and direct question we ask, not only to bakers, but to everyone in the community, because bakers are the only who vote, but the content of the proposal is interesting for the builders, even for the oldest. So everybody is invited to participate to that discussion, in that discussion. So we list the features, and we receive a ton of questions, of course, that we try to answer as fast as we can, but also objection, questions, discussions, suggestions that we all have to take into account. Some of them, can be taken into account straight away. This happened with Quebec, and this is currently happening with Rio. For example, with Rio, we had a feature taking, no need to describe it now, we'll see that later, but that was taking that long to take effect, and we divided that length by 2 because we received feedback things that it would be best, right? And some suggestion cannot be taken into account right away because it requires some design study, some security study, and simply maybe it doesn't correspond to what we would like to propose also. So for these, we answer accordingly, saying either yes, this is something that is interesting, but that we can't reasonably include it right now. So we'll see that later. Or, all right, thanks, but this is not something we would like to propose. However, you are free to write your own proposal. And this is the way we do it. So this cycle takes a lot of energy, of course, but it is also very exciting. And once we are done with this first phase of the feedback loop, we can submit our proposal, which is exactly what happened recently with Rio. Then we are not finished at all because it's time to support the proposal. This is the proposal phase of the governance. So we tend to reach out to explain each and everyone what would be the consequence of that proposal. So we invite people to support it. Of course, we support our own proposals. And then, provided it passes that stage, it goes, as I explained before, the exploration phase. And sometimes people forget to vote because, I've just voted and I forgot. So we keep reaching out, we keep ringing bells saying time to vote. And currently I'm saying it, time to vote. Rio is currently in exploration phase because please vote. And this is the way we do. But this is the structured part of it once again. I would like people to remind people that we are here, reachable, accessible. There is no bad question. A question is never bad. Only our answers can be. So please feel free to ask anything, anytime. It's exactly the reason why TechRail was founded a few months ago.
Yeah, that makes sense. And as I always also try to say to people about this feedback loop, that even if you're, as you said, even if the idea that they want to share doesn't get implemented in that upgrade that the feedback is for, maybe it triggers an idea for the next upgrade, or maybe it will be included in the next upgrade if it makes sense, or in a future one, right? So don't get discouraged. Sharing feedback is like, I think, always, it has only positives. Let's say it will only bring positive stuff. It cannot bring anything negative. Sharing feedback and ideas. So yeah, but sorry, Zaynah,
and
go
we
ahead.
did integrated some suggestion, by the way.
Absolutely,
we did it.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, so let's zoom out and talk about the bigger picture, because these upgrades don't exist just in isolation. They are all part of a larger vision called Tezos X. Yann, could you walk us through the Tezos X roadmap? Maybe mention, I don't know, what is it?
My pleasure. Yes,
Yeah.
I could do that. Before that, just want to say just a word. Can you see, Cryptonio, how these people are great?
Absolutely.
We have core engineers working on really making sure that the system is as good as we can. I mean, we are putting so much effort and rigor in order to build the best secure blockchain out there. And we are also caring a lot about users and really focusing on making sure that they are considered. I mean, we are following up, we are creating communication channels with them. We are really trying to make the Tezos chain actually what they need, the right one, what actually answering their issue. So that's why I think we are in the best position to implement this very ambitious roadmap, Tezos X. It's an ambitious roadmap, but let's try to to first start with what we are trying to solve. What's the vision here? Vision has been explained by Arthur many times, many occasions, but still, it's really about again building the right blockchain. And the right blockchain today is a blockchain that has gone through what other blockchains have been trying to achieve, like scaling. Okay, scaling has been a really hot topic for a long time, and I think we are quite good. We are not alone, but we are very good at this level, and we'll continue improving. But maybe what's the next hot topic to be the right blockchain is actually to really offer what builders need to actually turn their ideas, their actual need for blockchain into something that actually provide value. So this time to value that every developer is trying to optimize, like, okay, let's try to turn this idea into an actual business. And for a long time, in order to do that, you had to learn Solidity, you had to learn SmartPy, you had to learn all these very blockchain specific tools that will allow you to build a smart contract, connect it to wallets, to integrate it into maybe some other software stacks that we are not really prepared for that. So a lot of tools and libraries, APIs, third parties, infrastructure have been developed everywhere in the industry from scratch in some sense. Like, okay, as if blockchain development, software development was so different from what people were doing before that we could not reuse what they have been building. I mean, makes no sense.
That's
we
a
have
great
excellent
point.
excellent software system, software development system. Look at the Python ecosystems, JavaScript ecosystem. Look at the OCaml ecosystem, for instance, one that I particularly enjoy. But there are so many good toolings that actually millions of developers are using that we have been ignoring so far. Because we didn't know how to integrate these runtimes, this environment into a blockchain. And we've learned how to do that. So today, one idea that Tezos X roadmap is about creating an execution platform for dedicated to the apps, so really focusing on blockchain use cases, where you can come as a JavaScript developer, as a Solidity developer, even, of course, as a Michelson developer, but actually independently from the actual tools that you are used to build. So that's the first aspect of the vision of Tezos X, creating this very general execution framework where everyone just reuse the tools that they are used to. So that's one point. But there are also some remaining problems that are really internal to the blockchains today. And one of these is liquidity fragmentation, the fact that we have so many blockchains, so many places where people are putting their assets, and they want these assets to move from one chain to the other because there are some yield there are some very nice DApps there, etc., etc. And it's actually, if you want to build a system based that is multi-chain, because the world today is multi-chain, it's excessively complicated. It's like I've brought some toys with me, so it's like building an actual thing with that kind of you see this and this and this, and let's build a car with this, but how they don't fit, etc. So
no
one
interoperability,
problem.
right?
Sorry.
No interoperability,
Not
basically.
interoperability. No way to also compose
Mhm.
together in a very simple way components, software components. So today, when you develop again in Web 2, for instance, there are a lot of good practices like APIs, REST APIs, JSON-based RPCs, whatever you want, that actually everyone is implementing so that we have composability. You can build a system by just composing like this, you took two and they just connect in a very natural way. So it's like Lego. So that's also very important and part of Tezos X to build an environment where whatever runtime you're using, actually you can compose and have very instant bridges, atomic communications with all this environment with no issues. So just as simply as just doing smart contract calls, you just call it, it works. And even so it's an EVM that you're calling, even so it's and you're doing it from Michelson machines, etc. It's just.
And is that achievable?
Yes, it is. It is. Yeah.
Wow.
We're working on this, and we have some designs already, and we have some even proof of concepts. So that's important. But all this actually works if you can put everything in a single state, in a single environment that has no border in some sense, that has very large capacity. This is something that is extremely large, that provides an abundance of transactions. That it's a formula that Arthur has been using sometimes. That actually you create a very large environment where you can just deploy runtimes, just in a similar way, in some sense, like cloud computing was about just saying to people it's super easy to deploy your system at a global scale. That's exactly what this is about. So for this you need very strong performance. So to summarize, Tezos X is about interoperability, the ability to use any tooling, composability, so putting together things, and it must be super natural, super easy, and performance, so that you have so much capacity in the system that you don't really have to think about what it costs you in some sense. Of course, you always take a look, but it's not a problem anymore. And in order to achieve that, the techniques is the canonical roll-up. It's this idea that you can use a roll-up for vertical scaling. If you use a roll-up and just consider it's a very large machine, actually you don't have the security problems that Zaynah was mentioning before, that if you want a layer 1 to be a good settlement layer, you need very strong decentralization. So a lot of people reaching out to validate, to actually make the security assumption of the consensus algorithm to actually be realistic. So nobody has a strong power on the system. In the case of rollup, you only need one honest operator, and that's a game changer. So that's the mean. So the vision is clear, what we want to offer to users, to builders.
We should clarify. Yeah,
yes.
I'm sorry. We should clarify that even though it requires only one honest node operator, it is still decentralized because anybody can be, right? Is that correct?
It's It's correct indeed. It's a permissionless environment, completely open, completely decentralized. There is no multi-sig. There is nobody, no privileged actor. Nobody is controlling things roll-up. It's completely non-custodial. That's super important because a lot of blockchains today, they are not blockchains, in my opinion, because
I
they are
agree.
owned by someone. Okay, so
Right.
that's just a bank. Sorry, I'm
Right.
joking a bit, but it's not very different from. So,
Great.
so that's what the roadmap is about. I could describe the milestones if you want, but
Yeah,
I don't
if
know
you
if
could
you have.
mention some milestones, like what are
Yes,
some things that
we
you
have
need to
very
achieve?
quickly. What are
Mhm.
the milestones in? Because we are in the middle of it. It's not as if it was all this announcement like we're gonna do this. It's that no, that's not our way.
Absolutely.
In our environment, what we do is actually to deliver. So we are delivering. We have been implementing the smart rollups, as you know, for scalability, for performance. We have been delivering Etherlink that will gradually, actually, the rollup where Etherlink is
Mhm.
running will gradually migrate into this canonical rollup. So this year, what you will see is Tezlink coming. So this runtime running with Etherlink in the canonical rollup.
All
Okay,
right.
and so that they can have instant bridges, atomic transactions, maybe this year or maybe beginning of
So
next year.
those two runtimes will be like a small preview of the canonical rollup in a way, right?
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
And there is another very important piece that we are working on is justice. So justice is completely different runtime. It's completely to me it's a revolution in terms of the app's development because it tells us, okay, actually, if you are a Web2 developer, again, what you've been doing for 30 years, you don't have to throw it away. You can reuse it. Exactly the same principles should be usable in the way you conceive the applications. And for instance, we are targeting to have a node compatible runtime running
Mhm.
inside the rollup. So it means you are like home as a JavaScript. Okay, it's just Node. So let's build on top of this. It's of course I will build something that requires a blockchain. It's not, but with the tools that and the idioms that I'm used to. So that's a big improvement, I think, for all these people. They don't have to learn; they just have to build. That's mostly the idea. And there are many milestones we have been documenting and communicating about them. One of them is at some point, the layer one will be only focusing on being a settlement layer, very simplified because we'll remove everything regarding the apps that we move to Tezlink. That's a very big milestone that we are trying to
That's a
address in
huge
2025.
migration.
Yes. Yeah, it means that everybody that has been in the community for a long time in Tezos actually will benefit from all of this L2, very low latency, very low transaction costs. So it will be, I think it will be
All the
amazing.
positives will be there, like sub-second block times and stuff, like transactions and everything. It's amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Could you maybe also like connect the dots for us? How do the recent upgrades, Paris and Quebec, fit into the Tezos X plan? Well, like which technical or ecosystem milestones did they unlock for the Tezos X vision?
Yeah. So two main aspects here: simplification of the L1, making it a staking platform, a very fluid staking market that provides security to the L2, and also a settlement, very fast settlement. So every time you reduce the block time, actually you are telling to the L2, yeah, your operations are published very in a finalized way, so you can just trust it. And it means that for bridges, it's extremely important because it means from an external point of view, you can just assess that the operations is done. So you can do the swap, you can do whatever a bridge does. So that's super important. One part. So adaptations is obviously a big part of this. Reduction of block time
Mm-hmm.
is a big part of this. And we have the activation of the DAR mainnet that actually takes time because people need to update their infrastructure. We discussed about Rio because Rio actually
I'll
incentivizes
ask you about that
the
afterwards.
activation of the DAR. And it's actually a very important piece.
Yeah. So since you went there, and speaking of what's next, I wanted to ask you, like, I know we have another proposal in the pipeline. So could you tell us about like the future? What's in the Tezos governance oven right now? You mentioned Rio.
Yeah, quickly,
What is that about?
what we want to incentivize is bakers that actually activate and participate in the DAL, because the DAL is very important for the canonical rollup for Ethereum today, and so it's just an extension of Tezos. So they bakers, we want them to support Tezos. They want to support Tezos, so they should obviously care, and we want to reward people that are supporting the evolution of Tezos. So that's why we are introducing in the Rio proposal incentives. But not only that, there is maybe Zaynah, you can say a word about this reduction of
Yes, we also have a UX change, which is not anymore talking about cycle, which is a technical details. For doing that, we make it fit with a day. The duration of a title is 1 day right now, and it have a lot of benefits, like very importantly, reducing consensus delays, meaning having writes more often, meaning having locate fund in a less time.
Yeah, that makes sense. And
So first
if I remember correctly, sorry, the cycle was from 2.8 days. We're taking it down
like
basically to 1 day, right? Yeah.
Now
like
you don't have to remember how much was the last.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I mean, what's wrong with 2.8? You know, I'm kidding. It's a joke we had internally, but yeah, it will be much easier for UX, for everything. And as you said, so staking faster, unlocking faster, getting baking rights faster. Is that correct?
Yes, and but governance will stay.
Great point.
The same length.
Yeah. So the process, the periods will stay the same. They will be
40 days by
it makes sense. It makes sense. We wouldn't want like 4 days per period. It would be crazy. We didn't have time.
I don't know.
All right. Okay. So we've covered a lot. So let's recap the key messages for everyone. First of all, we have that Tezos governance works. We have 17 upgrades. We're already going on the 18th. We have plenty of proof for that, right? And the Tezos governance is what keeps the chain future-proof and community-driven. Paris and Quebec introduced like critical improvements, especially around finality, the developer tools, and smart contract safety as well as stepping stones for the Tezos X, right? These upgrades are part of the long-term vision of Tezos X, which defines where the technology is headed. The next proposal, currently under review, is Rio, which, if adopted, could introduce, as you said, further refinements, including the reduction of cycle times that we just discussed, and a new incentives model for bakers to use the data availability layer, the DAL that was introduced with Paris. And we want bakers to use it. We want to get activated because it's also an important piece of the Tezos X vision that we have, right? But most importantly, I would add that this whole thing only works if you, the community, show up. So, like, if you care about Tezos future like I do, like people here do, make sure you read the proposal details when they are published. Follow the discussions on Tezos Agora. I think the forum link has been posted in the chat. Ask questions, share feedback, and of course, vote either directly if you're a baker, indirectly if you're just a staker or delegator by discussing it with your baker and pinging them, talking about these proposals. So before we close, Yann, Zaynah, Vincent, any last thoughts you want to leave with the community today? Let's start with Zaynah. if you have anything you want to share before we close.
I just wanted to say that everything we talk about is not possible without the talented and very involved engineers that we have. So that's it from my side.
That's beautiful. Vincent, let's go to you.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would add that no blockchain would be useful without builders, without users, without validators, baker for us. We love you. We are here to serve. So keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. You're doing a great job. We thank you for that. Last but not least, Yann, what you got for
It's hard
us?
to come after these two. I would say, yeah, let's continue building, staking, and sharing to make Tezos a success.
Awesome. All right. So thank you again to our speakers and to everyone who tuned in live, or maybe they caught the replay afterwards. Tezos keeps moving forward because of all of you. So stay curious, stay involved, and we'll see you at the next town hall. Until then, keep baking, keep building, and keep the conversations going. Take care, everybody.
Bye bye. Thanks.